And shortly after I got there, me and the girl kind of fell out. We broke up, whatever. And so I was living in my car, and I was living in the wrestling coach's office on this couch basically every night, right? So there was a little bit of adversity there, I guess, like some struggles, but I was a single dude. I didn't really have any responsibilities other than myself, so it was easy. Yeah, it was easy. I was like, whatever. I mean, it sucked, like sleeping in my car in the winter, but it wasn't like terrible. I was only worried about myself. It was honestly easier than probably when I was in the relationship because I only had to take care of myself. But so the first day I went to the MMA gym, I show up in the morning because I didn't know like if they like their schedule. So I just showed up there. They didn't have any like classes in the morning. It was just kind of like open mat, but there was nobody there except for one girl and another girl. And this girl was teaching this other girl a private lesson. She was a little thing, probably like 130 pounds, 5'3", tiny girl. And so I just put on some like Dick's Sporting Good gloves. And you know what? Actually, let me rewind. That made me think of something. When I was in college, I loved MMA so much. I was running like a fight promotion out of my wrestling room. So that's kind of an interesting thing.
Hold on, what?
Yeah. So I had like I would like manufacture like fake beef between guys on my team and make them like fight each other in our wrestling room. They'd have like walkout songs. It was like a whole production, dude. And like we'd make the recruits
Actual fights too.
Well, like not MMA, but we make them like box.
They fought, though.
Yeah, they fought. We get them like $1 mouthpieces, boil and bites, and they'd go at it. It was hilarious. Yeah, I had a fight club going on, and we'd have like the recruits. They'd be fighting each other. It was dope, bro. There were some of the best fights I ever saw.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was super fun, entertaining, and like I said, I didn't know if I was gonna fight or anything, but I would like get in there and mix it up, and you know, it was fun for me. But so fast forward, I'm at this MMA gym, first time I'm ever there, and I put on my cheap ass boxing gloves and I just start hitting the bag. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just hitting the bag. I'm like, this is a good workout. This looks good. The girl I was talking about earlier comes up to me and she's like, you have no idea what you're doing, huh? And I was like, what the hell? I was like, who are you to come talk to me, you little girl? Like, you don't know anything. Little did I know that she was a fighter in the UFC. Her name was Amanda Bobby Cooper. And she ended up, now she's my wife. But in the moment, I was like, who the hell is this girl coming telling me I suck at fighting? Yeah. That's how I met my wife. That's the first interaction I had with her. And she was like, listen, she was a gold glove boxer. Like I said, she fought in the UFC. Wow. So she was like, I'm gonna help you with your striking. And she knew I came from a wrestling background. And so she was my first coach ever. And we would I would come in the morning. She would do drills with me. And she would always tell me, she's like, you're going to make it. Like, you're going to be really successful. And when you're really successful, you're going to owe me 2%. And I've been trying to get that 2% deal back ever since.
She's getting
way more than 2%. I think I get 2%.
You said 2%.
Yeah. I try to remind her that doesn't work. But yeah, so she was my first coach, and she was teaching me. She'd teach me how to box. And so my schedule was I would go to the gym in the morning. I would drive to wrestling practice, which was like an hour and a half away at the college I was coaching at. I would run the wrestling practice, do the wrestling practice, and then I would drive back to the MMA gym and do night classes. And then I would drive back to the college and I would do security like through the night. So I had a part-time job as like campus security too.
Pretty busy.
Yeah, so it was super busy. And like the campus security job just basically paid my way to like get to where I was going, like paid my gas. Yeah. So I was like making no money. I was super broke. And I didn't know like if fighters made money or anything. I assumed they did. I was like, oh, they must make money, right? And then I quickly realized that was not the case. And I had been training for maybe like, I want to say like a month and a half, maybe. And obviously Bobby was my main coach. The owner of the gym's name was James Gray. He fought on Contender Series. He was one of my head coaches too. And then Colin Anglin, who I actually moved out here with to Colorado, was like my main training partner. We just clicked really well. And eventually I ended up living with Colin. He was like, hey, you want to come live with me and my dad, he said. And I was like, I'm not coming to live with you and your dad, bro. We're not doing that. Little did I know, he was just saying at his dad's house. His dad was living in China. So then he's like, bro, my dad doesn't even live here. He told me that like weeks later. He's like, I don't know why you won't come live with me. I'm like, oh, your dad's not at the house? He's like, no, I drove that day. I'm like, all right, I'm staying at your house, bro. But so my wife called me. It was in my debut. It was December 17th. She called me. She said, hey, you got a fight in 3 days. And I was like, what do you mean I have a fight in 3 days? what does that even mean? She's like, you're going to Ohio. Amateur. She's like, you're going to Ohio. I got you a fight. I was like, what do you mean? I didn't sign a contract or anything. She's like, don't worry. I signed the contract for you. So she signed my name on this contract. Just sign me up for this fight. And like we had talked about fighting potentially, but I didn't know for sure like that's what I was going to do. Yeah. So she signed me up. I was like, all right. And like the whole drive down there, she's telling me, she's like, you know, you're gonna you need to just wrestle this kid. Just wrestle this kid. Just wrestle this kid. I'm like, well, I've been working my striking. Like, I want to show my striking. She's like, no, just wrestle this kid. You'll beat him. It'll be all good. And so we get down there, and the fight happens. The kid's name is Jeremy Baker. His debut too. I'm nervous. You know how it is. My first fight ever. I didn't know anything. Get in the cage. Threw the hardest right hand I could, put it right on his chin, knocked him out. It was a 12-second knockout. And I was like, what? Oh, yeah. I was hooked. I'm like, all right, fighting's for me.